Shalom all. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com. You know, it's the middle of a Wednesday afternoon here in Knoxville today. It's actually rather warm out. And I've been running around getting all my work done. I'm actually on my way to the gym right now, which, as you see, is my gym stuff. And I have to talk to you about some very, very important things. Specifically, this prayer of protection. I want to share with you this. I discussed this in a recent hour-long class, but I want to give you a special little lesson short on it. But a quick little word. When I talk to you about important things, and I always tell you this, always hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Now, we're in COVID times. We all know that. And some people believe that you should restrict yourself in every which way possible. And there are all kinds of opinions on that. And I, for one, am not a qualified medical professional that I could even offer an opinion in these things. But I will tell you is this. Always best to take precautions. When I go to the gym, I do go to the gym. There are other people there. Yeah, you have social distancing. And I'll show you something. When I go, I always carry my little hand sanitizer, actually wipes that I use. I wipe down the machines, clean my hands and stuff. And if necessary, wear the mask. And so, that's not necessary, or some say it is necessary. But I say like this, better safe than sorry. I always hope for the best, but at the same time, I prepare for the worst. And I think that's an attitude which will be helpful to us in these most uncertain times. Look, there's an old saying, life is a long road and only God knows the way. We live in a time now where those who seek certainty and want things to be so clear, you guys have the most to lose. Because it's those things which you seek certainty with are going to slip away. The more you try to cling to them, you're going to slip away with them. Don't go that path. You don't need to do this. We need to recognize that the nature of this world around us is, by definition, fluid. Remember we discussed in our Sefer Yetzirah class how everything is a combination of all the different permutations? Well, things change all the time. Life changes, relationships changes, health changes, finances change. Everything goes up, everything goes down, goes this way, that way. And there's only one place of stability in the circle of life, and that's in the center. So in that respect, understand this. I know we all come from different walks of life. We come from different religious faiths. We all have different orientations and different views. And as long as we cling to those external forms, which are very different from one another, we're always going to be in a position of conflict and strife with one another, as opposed to recognizing that all these external forms, like the degrees on the circumference of a circle, they all point to that center point, like the spokes of a wheel which go and connect in the center. Well, that's us. We're all different, and yet at the same time, we're all the same. So in our Torah tradition, as you know, our foundational prayer is called the Shema Yisrael, which is a proclamation, Shema here, Yisrael, Israel. Who is Israel? All 12 tribes, not just the Jews today. And when we recite this, we are psychically projecting into the collective unconscious to all enlightened souls. And the message is very simple. Yud Ke Vav Ke. That's God, not Yahweh, not some little old man with a white beard sitting on a cloud somewhere, right? The ultimate sentient consciousness of the universe. What Rambam would refer to, Maimonides, would refer to as the Matsui Rishon, the primal cause, the original source is what I refer to it as. This is a singularity. And then we say Hashem Echad. And this is the only truth, the only reality, that we are all part of the whole. That's why my mentality here at KosherTorah. I don't like anything artificial. I don't like anything fake. I don't like anything make-believe. So while we're doing our videos, while other people are going to cut and paste and do that, you can see my little Sierra here over my shoulder. doing her thing. Why? Because that's just part of life. Some people don't like dogs. Some people do. Some people think it's unprofessional. Some people think it's fine. You know what? It is. And it is what God so ordains. So therefore, rather than trying to create the world or structure the world in your own image, let me remind you the wise words of our great sages who said, Batel ritzonecha lifnei ritzono. All right? Nullify your will before God's will. And if you're of a Christian persuasion, I'll remind you of what you guys call the Lord's Prayer, which is originally a Jewish prayer, right? Not, what is it? Thy will be done. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There you go. Well, ultimately, this is what it is. And look, even from the point of view of our brothers and sisters in Islam, the word Islam means service to God. So this is what unites us. All right? Spirituality, the greater reality, is not there to serve you. It's not there to make you more powerful or to give you what you seek in this world. It's to help us recognize that greater reality and to transcend the limitations of this world. We do not seek to acquire all the great toys in the universe so that we can be king of the sandboxes like a little child. No, we acquire things so that we can learn to grow up and eventually get out of the sandbox, clean ourselves off, and mature and grow. That's what life is all about. Ultimately, we live in a greater reality in which we are very, very much not alone. For those of you who know my discussions many a time on ancient aliens, and now on the unexplained and some of the other programs of Prometheus, which I'm very, very grateful. I try to get across things, when we interview for hours, they give me 30 seconds. My book, Aliens, Angels and Demons, addresses some of these things. But you need to understand the reality of where we're at and how you're going to get out of the circumference of the circle and how you're going to get out of uncertain times into the certainty. And that is the focus on that singularity that I mentioned to you earlier. And that is what we call the power of God. And frankly, I don't care how you look at God, view God, think of God, or whatever. There is an objective reality out there, whether you or I like it or not. And in that respect, hear me. You and I, when it comes to spiritual reality, are for the most part blind. And you and I can sit and argue about what it's like out there, but without any experience of what it's like out there, no one can prove a thing. So let's speculate what is happening right now on the third planet around one of the stars of the Pleiades. And you could say, well, I met the people up there in a psychic vision. And then the other person says, well, I astral traveled there and I saw this. And the third person says that. And they're all going to sit and fight about what? What you speculate or believe or feel or experience what's happening in the Pleiades? No one can prove it. Well, when we go into the spiritual world, unless you can experience, you will have no understanding. So I want to give you something, a tap, a connection, a prayer, if you will. But let me explain to you very quickly how prayer actually works. When we recite words, dear Lord, gimme, 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 amen. God's not your, holy Santa Claus who's out there to bring you presents. We are connecting to Yud K Vav K, which is not somebody, but the ultimate reality, the consciousness, the sentience of the universe. We're tapping into the greater reality, which I don't think words can really describe. We tried to describe God's attributes in Kabbalah by the Sefirot and things like that, but ultimately we recognize that God is unknowable. God is the great question mark. In our Kabbalah tradition, we call God the Ein Sof. And Chaim Vital, one of the great Kabbalists, says, nothing we can say. No speculation, there's just nothing there, okay, that we can understand. Got it. So I don't bother with that. But I do recognize in our day and age where we are at today, we do interact in the spiritual plane. with other entities. And these entities are oftentimes messengers sent from higher dimensional planes to interact with, guide, and direct us. And therefore, when we wish to bond with God or project positive energy onto ourselves to bring us into that center place, we have prayers. A prayer is not gimme, 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 but a psychic proclamation to create the reality of that which we seek. And being that it's a psychic or a spiritual reality, something focused on the united or collective center as opposed to something personal for ourselves, this is something that we are able to project, focus, and accomplish. So in that respect, I discussed this in my previous class. This is a prayer which I call a prayer for protection and psychic defense. It is culled from a number of the deeper Kabbalistic sources, and it's based upon a very common prayer, well known in our Torah tradition, so much so that it's even been translated and adopted into many others. That prayer says very simply, all right, may Michael be at my right, Gabriel at my left, before me Ariel, and behind me Raphael, and upon my head the holy presence or Shekhinah of God. It's based upon the concept of the Merkabah, the chariot of God with the angels therein. Well, for those who get into things at a, shall we say, deeper level, we recognize that things are a little bit more sophisticated than that. And in the reality of our world, we have the pattern of the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 months, the 12 tribes of Israel. It is an archetypal figure, number, etc., where in which you have the trinity of 3 by the quaternity multiplied together. That's the 12. For those of you who get into numerology and symbols, you recognize all this stuff. But there are 12 malachim who surround us, who we can, through the power of God, visualize being around us to give us this psychic protection from all those outside distractions and divisions which seek to divide and conquer us. So therefore, we proclaim God as the singularity of the universe, and we visualize these entities being around us to knock out, block out that negativity. And we focus it through specific Shemot Kodeshim, holy names, which themselves are representatives, angelic forces, if you will, of a higher form, the likes of which, who can describe? Yeah, we can put it into words in some which way or another, and this source will define it this way, and that source will define it that way. Don't worry about it. It's not what's important. So you'll see in the notes to this little video here, I'll put in the link to this PDF. So you can have a copy, print it out, please. Learn this prayer. Now, it does have what we call angelic names in it. And the tradition today, mostly based on fear than an actual halachic principle, is that we don't recite any names out loud. People are terrified of it. You know what? You can what's that say? Mouth out. That's what I'm saying. Mouth out the words if you don't want to recite the names. Silent little whisper. Whatever you feel comfortable with and doing, just do it, okay? But the focus is that we actually use these names as visualization tools, as sound tools, if you will, to create the barrier of the protection that we seek. So it's to block out that negativity and bring in the singularity through the center so that we can focus on that uniting factor and fulfill the words, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And that is what this is all about. So the prayer pretty much in English, all right? If you want to recite it in Hebrew, you can. If you want to recite it in French or Polish or Russian or Spanish or whatever language, go ahead, doesn't matter. Please don't ever make the mistake of thinking one language is better than the other. I know there is that concept out there that Hebrew is better than all languages. But you could look carefully in the teachings of Abraham Abulafia, one of the great masters of the prophetic Kabbalah, using the secrets of the Sefer Yetzirah, he says, all sounds are based on the same, letters, if you will, and therefore they all form the same, or I should say, from the same source. So whatever your language is, that comes from the same source, and touching into the singularity and the center, they're all connected. So all languages are good. In the name of Adonai, creator of the universe. And if you wish to visualize the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke as in a shviti like you see over my shoulder here on my wall, that's all the better. That's the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, which is, again, that ultimate higher collective truth of things. All right? And I have the three names here. May these three angels, all right, Kochavi, we don't say El, we'll say Kel, all right? Kochavi, Kel, Padi, Kel, and Micha, Kel, be at my right. And then Azri, Kel, Bari, Kel, and it's actually Shammai, El, all right? At my left. I should have said Kel, sorry. All right? If you look on the left, it's the Hebrew word Shama here with the letter Yud and then El. So, being that people really can't pronounce an Ayin, I just put the English very simply. All right? Shama-I as opposed to Shama-I. All right? Or Shama-I-El. All right? Whatever you feel comfortable. It's not, you don't have to be so precise with these things. I know people get all caught up into the minutia of things. It's not the way. That's that left column of trying to divide and conquer. Just go with the flow. Don't worry about these little things. Next level. All right. Megavre Kel. Refa Kel. We say those names, but okay. And here again, I have a name here. Ho. It's a het. All right. But here I just write het is a H. Ho, and then Ya Kel. Be before me. Excuse me, be before me. And, did I miss something? I think I messed up. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I did mess up. I missed the line. Figures. Hey, I love raw video. Okay. The ones before me is, again, Reish Gimel Yud Ayin. All right. I write that as Rag, and then that should be Ragi Same thing with that Ayin. Kel. But I have it here as Ragi El, because, again, people can't do it with the Ayin. The next name is Ramakel, and then Ori Kel. Those are the names before me, and then the ones after me are Gabriel, Refakel, and Hoyakel behind me. All right? It's on the paper there. If I messed up with reciting it, who cares? So what? All right? Yeah, it's a video. You're all going to watch that. Hey, so I skipped the line. Oh, yeah, I better edit that out so I look professional. I'm not interested in this looks stuff. I'm interested in being real. That's why I leave it in. Why? I made a mistake? Oh, my goodness. You know what that makes me? Just like you, a human being. Oh, well, I think that is probably one of the greatest lessons that our KosherTorah school has to offer. So I keep it in. There we go. Above my head. And here we have these two names. All right? And you can see how they're pronounced on the sheet of paper there. There you go. There you go. There we go. Anyway, it's curious about the numerical value of these names. The first and the last together, all right, would spell out the words kol, or the voice, and then a specific spelling of the name Aleph Ke Ekie, which is the doorway to the higher understanding. So the voice is always known to be the psychic, telepathic, intuitive connection that comes from within. So when we recite this simple prayer, all right, and then again we conclude, may Hashem, my God, be with me to protect me, all right, from all dangers, all my enemies, and all harm, etc. You read it from there. That's what's important, that you focus with all the uncertainties out there, block out the negativities, and project onto yourself the concept, the reality, psychically internal, of the singularity. That which brings unity, which unites us all. Project that out to people. All right. In this time in which everything is uncertain and strife and division and conflict is proliferating, use your psychic ability to project unity, clarity, and peace. Call for protection not only for yourself, but for others as well. Recognize, like I said, have hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Be realistic, be practical, be rational. Do what needs to be done. And at the same time, remember, behold how good and pleasant it is for brothers, and that's all of us, to dwell in unity. Take this prayer as my blessing. Go forth with it, and let's do some good things. I'll see you all in our next lesson shorts. We got to get back to our Kohelet stuff, other stuff. Great things coming down for you. Watch for them. I'll see you all soon. Shalom.